Hi, do you want to win the US presidential elections? Did you find it fun at the last election night and don't want to wait 4 years till it happens again? Well, today I'm going to be talking about 270, a game where you are a candidate running to be the president of the United States. Not sponsored video, just a game I like to play. So hi, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm not going to be talking about Territorial.io. Instead, I'm going to show you a game I discovered a little before Territorial.io. And yes, this game has nothing in common with Territorial.io except for maps. And I really love maps and games with maps. That's my thing, man. Okay, so this is a game about elections. US elections. Where basically the thing is that you have to win the US elections. And I'm thinking now that I should have done this video like, before the elections, because maybe some people will watch it with the hype. But anyway, so how do we do it? How do we win the election? So if you don't know, in the US elections, the candidate who gets some more votes doesn't necessarily have to be the winner of the election. Instead, what decides the winner is the Electoral College, where every state and DC gets a number of electoral votes according to each state population. For example, California has 54 electoral votes and New York has 28, while least populated states like Wyoming has only 3 electoral votes and Hawaii only has 4 electoral votes. So the candidate who gets the more votes in a state gets all the electoral votes of that state, no matter if he won by only 1 vote, and the other candidates don't get any single electoral votes from that state. So the total amount of electoral votes is 538, and to win you must have more than half of them. So half of 538 is 269, and more than that is 270 or more. So basically, once you have 270 electoral votes, you win the election, and that's why the game is called 270. But hey, how do we get votes in the game? Well, basically, you have to invest money in a state where you want to get the lead. So in this game, each player has a turn to play, where every turn you get a fixed amount of money you can invest. So every time you invest in a state, you move 1 place in this line. The more electoral votes a state has, the more you have to spend to invest there. So once you have invested all you wanted to, you end the turn, and at the end of the turn, the game shows what all the players did. So at the end of the turn, the player who invested the most at a state leads in that state and gets all the electoral votes as long as he leads there. So also, if 2 players or more, no matter how much they had invested before, both invest in the same turn and end up at the same spot in a state that turn, that starts a conflict, and basically each player goes back to the point they were before investing that turn in that state. So you don't really have to spend all the money in 1 turn. You can save it for a turn when you will need it. So there's also this thing called national groups, and that works a little bit like states too, where you also have to invest every turn to get the lead. But instead of getting electoral votes, if you lead in a national group and you have invested 4 or more times, you pass this line, you get more money each turn as long as you have the lead there. Some groups give you more money than others, but also the more money a group gives you every turn, the more you have to invest in it to get it. Okay, so another thing you can use to get more money every turn is the state groups. Basically, there are different groups including different states, like the oil and gas group or the Latino group. And the thing to win these groups is you have this line up here in your color that tells you how close you are to get the group. And to grow that line, you have to invest in the states that belong in that group. For it to count, you must lead in the state, and also you must have invested more than 3 times in that state. The more you invest, the more it makes the line grow, and also the more electoral votes a state has, the more influence it has in this state group. For example, in this group, having California at half is like having all Pennsylvania and Michigan. So once you cross this line, you lead in that state group, and you will get money every turn that you can spend on states that belong in that state group you lead. There's also one thing called debate, which I don't know what it is. I have to look it up, and I have never known what it is. I think it's something like they want to implement in the game, but they haven't yet. So I don't know if that works or something. Okay, so important things. The first time you invest in a state, you can only do it twice that turn, and after that turn, you can do it as much as you want. And also, if you get to the end of the line, you secure that state, and no one can take it from you. There's also a thing you can do using this to steal a state someone thinks they have on their side. So the thing is, you have have to stay low profile on a state where you have invested before, and also the player leading there hasn't paid much attention to it in the last few turns. So the thing is that you can full invest on that state, get to the end of the line and win the state, and there's nothing the other player can do to win it back because it's completely yours now. I mean, it is a little risky to do this because if for some reason that player wants to secure that state too, you will both tie and get into a conflict, and you will both lose the investment and the money you spent. So try to be careful because he's gonna lose a little bit of money and you're gonna lose a lot. Also, for more expensive states, you must save some money until you can get the entire state in one turn. And okay, so once everybody has invested in all of these states at least one time, you will get the warning that at the end of this turn, there's going to be a ballot. So it is a decisive turn. So if the game is only 2 players, the player with 270 or more at the end of the turn is going to win the game. And if you're playing with more than 2 players, if one of the players has more than 270 electoral votes, is also going to win at the end of that turn. But if no one has more than 270 electoral votes at the end of that turn, the player with the least amount of electoral votes is going to get eliminated, and all of his investments are going to be eliminated too. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you 2 recommendations to take advantage once the ballot turn comes. First is that it is recommended to have at least one investment in most of the states, because when the ballot turn comes, you only have one turn to make a turnaround in case you are close to winning. And if you haven't invested in one state, you can only invest twice there, which is almost never enough to win any state at that point of the game. And if you only have one state you can steal from another player, that player is probably going to notice and full invest on it so you can steal it. But if you have 3 or more states you have invested in, he's not going to be able to full invest in all of them. So if you're lucky, you may steal 1 or 2 states, which is pretty good at this point of the game. And second advice is that if you're not close to winning once you get to the ballot turn, but you know who is going to be the player with the least number of electoral votes and therefore is going to be eliminated, you can invest in the states that player is currently leading. So once he gets eliminated, you will be the one leading there. And also, one thing I didn't mention at the beginning of the video, because I wanted to show you how the game worked first, is that you have to choose the candidate you are going to play with. And each candidate has different bonuses and disadvantages. So you gotta see what strategy you like to follow and pick a candidate that has bonuses according to the strategy you want to use. So one of the reasons I made this video is because the community of this game is a little small, and maybe I can help to bring new players to it. I mean, sometimes when you are playing online, there is no one creating game and you have to wait till someone does, or maybe create one yourself and wait for people to join. And it's a bit frustrating sometimes when you really want to play and there's no one there to play. I mean, there is an offline mode, but the AI is a little too easy to beat, and so it would be great if you download the game and join the community. I'm not gonna say I like or I'm against the Electoral College, because it has good and bad things as an electoral system, but at least in the game where every state is basically a swing state where you don't know what the outcome is going to be, is really fun, and is more fun than the actual elections. And also the real election nights are fun. It's more fun now than it would be to count the popular vote. And well, that's it. Just download the game, please, and also like the video and subscribe and share. And if you made it to this point of the video, hi, how you doing?